No.
That's
He's
who I
no
was
longer
trying
the
to-
Grand County clerk. You send it to the Grand County clerk.
Yeah.
Would you like
Then you
a
need to send it.
file by you, Chris?
Oh,
Okay. He's associate administrator.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Chad and Diane.
Oh, why? Easy. And now. Oh, she see her, yeah, and Corinne.
Pardon?
Should I let Nick in?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yes.
Want to pass down the seaside?
What was that?
Here, one of these Quincy dot on your hat.
Please.
Thank you.
There's some magic blues too.
Skip over.
Let him to Diane.
I think she's online.
Oh, I just don't.
Oh.
I see Nick and Chad. I don't see.
Oh, there's
Diane.
Diane. She came back.
I think that she was on that. There we go.
There she is.
Okay, is everyone here ready? Very good.
As ready as we're gonna be, right?
Yes. Chad and Diane, are you ready?
Seems like they're still connecting.
Okay.
Can they hear us?
It says connecting to audio.
Nick, can you hear us?
Yep, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Diane's in.
I'm in.
Chad's almost there. Well, too bad you
There
didn't
we
come.
go.
We got chips, we got eggnog. Chocolate.
We're gonna be bouncing off the walls. Okay, looks like we are all here. I will call this meeting of the,
Are we recording? Don't we need to
Nope.
start
Yeah, no,
recording?
it's recording.
Okay.
Are you live streaming? Yeah. Okay. On YouTube and recording.
Perfect. Just wanted to double check.
Thank you.
Kevin, you look like you're wearing a Boy Scout uniform.
Oh, I can take this off. It was cold out there today. I had to have my, I had to have my face mask up like this,
Oh. You were gonna do it for us. Okay.
okay, I will call this meeting of the Solid Waste Special Service District number 1 to order. This Thursday, December 1st, 2022 at 4:09 p.m. Present are full board. Mary, Kevin, Chad, Diane, and myself, Kalen, as well as district staff, LJ, Leanne, Savannah, Chris. And the first item is citizens input. Would you please let one of the Sarahs in?
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, and let them both in. Maybe she'll do audio on one.
We go to gallery. Or you can see this. Yeah.
Sarah, can you hear us via Zoom?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. There was 2 of you. There was 2.
I know, because I didn't know if my phone just wasn't working, so I checked online. I'm gonna get rid of that one.
Okay, well, in any event, we're at Citizens to be Heard, and so.
Or that could have been my evil twin.
You don't have an evil twin, Sarah?
Oh, yeah, we'll see about that. Hang on one second. I gotta get out of the online one. Okay, I think, I don't want to mess things up by being in two. Okay, I got rid of it. So you can still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say, first of all, I wish that things were all, love and light, but it's not that way. I have extremely, extremely deep concerns about what's happening within the organization. So much so that I actually asked if I could have a closed session with the board. Mary and Kaylin said they'd meet with me first, which we did in October. They said we would follow up, and then they decided they didn't want to do that. So I'm just letting you guys know, because of my deep love for the organization, I am going to have to be very public with the concerns I had, and I'm just going to quickly go over the duties of the board. The fidelity is not occurring at all within the district. There's very uninformed decision-making going on, wasting golden opportunity, having entire control of the waste stream and the recycling, and totally unqualified candidates being interviewed for executive director. And without a highly qualified executive, the organization is just going to fail. It's like a body without a brain. All the parts might be really cool, but you have to have someone to put it together. So I watched the interview with the first guy. He was completely unqualified. The second guy, I couldn't hear anything, but a 2-minute Google search turned up that lawsuit against him, which I'm sure you guys don't want another lawsuit. So the duties of the board seem to be non-existent. Fiduciary responsibility, out of control, unnecessary spending. The $750 request for unneeded brand new items. Monument getting all their escrow back, even though they were very dishonest and left you guys with a lot of liability. They just made between $100 and $150 million selling all their little places they've gathered up over the years. So that's problematic that you guys just handed them back the money that you're going to have to spend on improvements. I totally believe that there was a defamation occurring against Evan that is actionable. And I would advise him to pursue that. I mean, closed session protocols were ignored by a board member and upper staff who started a smear campaign against someone who was the golden boy the day before and then was a pariah the next day. General staff concerns, total disdain for the board, making financial decisions outside of the board's motions, excessive in-kind donations, trying to get free disposal at the transfer station. Multiply that by every employee and their friends and family. Poor judgment on hiring decisions, and not getting legal analysis of the DOT, which you guys may not have to have, but is there a legal backing, and the landfill compliance? So those are just a few tiny little things that I'm very concerned about. The board members don't really have an understanding of the budget or even how much money they have. And I know one board member believed that you guys were getting $85,000 a year with TRT, not 400 or 500,000. So how can you guys make sound financial decisions when you don't even really understand the finances? So I'm very concerned about all of that. I'm worried about seeing the whole thing collapse, which it's in the process of doing. When right now there's such a golden opportunity to do things that could be positive. So I just wanted to let you guys know, since Mary and Kaylin couldn't be bothered to meet with me again, as promised, I'm just going to have to, go out to the public, all the people that really have spent 30 years making that center happen and wanting to see it succeed. I'm just going to have to, mount some kind of campaign to try to get things on the right track. So that was my evil twin speaking. The regular me says, I love you all. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. There are no other citizens to be heard. So next up is approval of meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Thank God.
I'll make a motion to approve
the October 19, 2022 regular minutes as stated.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Kevin. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Diane?
Yes,
Kevin?
Yes,
Mary?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes,
Ellen, yes, motion passes 5-0. Next up is review and action on 2023 tentative budget.
Okay, Nick. We're up.
okay.
So, Savannah, if you can go into that common folder and pull up the PDF version so that we can have at least that to look over. This was in the board packet. So we want to look at the tentative budget, no rate increase first. And if you can kind of make it a little bit bigger, easier for people to see.
Can you see that? Or should we make it bigger?
Bigger.
Bigger.
We're farther away.
Even being that close.
I think you'll have to exit full screen.
And our eyes are older.
I was trying not to say. that. Okay, that's a little bit easier. Maybe just a little bit bigger.
It's just quite a bit better.
Yeah, did you see the zoom?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
it's really interesting because Diane can't see anything except for your the people's faces.
Now that it's set up, can you screen share?
Go over, it's green.
Yes.
Oh, right here.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Click it and then it'll let you pick which one.
With share.
There we go. You should see it now, Diane and Chad. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So this is if we did not do any rate increases at all. We kept things just the way they are. This is a condensed version. I eliminated some of the extra lines to kind of make it easier to look at and include in the packet. Nick, do you want to start at the top?
Okay. And again, it is busy looking. Apologize for that, but it's to have all the data in one place. It's behooves us to kind of have a busy looking screen. But the district has primary revenue sources, that being the collection and hauling, which is the trash and recycling collection, the landfill revenues from both Klondike and Moab landfill, and then some CRC revenue also.
And then Savannah, if you just want to scroll as he's talking about it.
The column that has the blue the total shown in blue, that's the 2023 budget line or column. So that's immediately to the right of the verbiage.
Mhm.
And next to that column is the 2022 budget. And then next to that column is the 2022 actual projected. And so I just wanted to be able to, and building this budget with LJ and the district staff, I wanted to be able to see prior year budget and the current year projected as we build this 2023 budget, so we can have it be in line and see the various components of it. So if we scroll down a little more, the gross, go back up slightly.
To where the gross income is.
Yeah, the gross profit line. That's the revenues and any interagency costs. That's the net number that we base all the percentages you see in these interim middle columns. So expenses, as we scroll down the page, the expenses are as a percentage of that gross profit number. And that gives us a view of how the various expenses that the district has relate to the revenue that's coming in as a percentage. Scrolling down, you can see the numbers there for these various expense categories. Yeah, go ahead and keep scrolling down. I want to get down to there's a line called cash flow. It should be in coming up here. There it is, the green numbers there.
Yeah,
This reflects the numbers or the cash flow that allows us to pay our debt, and which is principal and interest on any debt we have, which is the bond that the district took out, the BOMAG compactor and some other equipment. And so scroll down a little further. Down to there's a, yeah,
Go on a little further.
lease, loan and bond repayments right here, this section. So this, in that first column, that 1,091,339, that's the annual debt with principal and interest payments the district needs to make on an annual basis, which the district sets aside money for. Out of that number that was above that cash flow number. If we want to scroll back up to that, I just wanted to show you that number in relation to
A little bit
the
higher,
budget.
where the green one is.
Right there. So this is the budget without any revenue rate increases in it. So as you can see, the 462 versus the projected number of a 1,218,254, which is in the third column. So this is a budget look without doing any rate increases. And you can see that the variance there is about $800,000. And so that is something that needs to be made up by doing some rate increases in the budget, which we'll look at in a few pages. But that expenses, the main driver of the difference there is labor costs. It seems to be year over year, the labor, and there's market forces there to compensate employees at a market rate, and I think that's primarily the driver. It's causing the labor number to go higher year to year. So if you want to scroll back up, we'll go to that labor section. Oh, sorry, too far. There's a payroll section.
Okay. Regular?
Yeah, right. The total payroll number is that 2486683 number. And so you can see between that and the projected, which is the 1866598 number, you can see about a $600,000 difference. And that's that driver that's eroding that cash flow number that we were looking at below. So that is telling us there has to be rate increases to cover those expenses. So this is the budget look without any rate increases in it.
So if anybody has any questions about this, or if they don't have any questions, then I'd like to jump to the one with the proposed rate increases. Is that next on the agenda? I think it is.
It is. So are there any questions from the board so far?
no, when I looked at it earlier, it was,
So are there any differences between with rate increases and without rate increases on the expense side?
No, there's not.
Not on the one that we sent you, but Chris, Nick and I have some suggestions that we'll go into as we go over that of where we want to cut some expenses.
Okay.
Yep, so close that one and then go to, yeah. Perfect, thank you. You just have to zoom.
Okay, so this is the one with the rate increases. Looks like it. So the district has a contract with the city, which is a 5-year contract, and that was in 2019. So it goes through 2024 or midpoint 2024. So that's right now, those rates are set. There is a mechanism to request an increase on those. But purposes of this budget, we've looked at collection, transfer station, and landfill rate increases to help build the revenue numbers to cover that cash flow deficit.
So Nick, does that include collection revenue under the city contract? or-
No,
No.
No, it does not. So it's
Okay.
county, basically everything but the city.
Just
the
wanted to
city-
double check.
Yeah, the city revenue component for the district is about 100 to 115,000 a month, depending on the time of year. And so that's in these various numbers, or that's already in these numbers here, but there, in terms of this version of the budget with rate increases, the city portion was not touched.
Yep. Thank you.
And we'll go over those rate sheets, I believe, after this section, but those are built into this budget model. We don't have a comparison to see what the non-rate increase budget model looks like compared to this one. But if you look at those numbers in the first column, you will see a difference between them and the version we were just looking at. So if we want to scroll down, again, scroll down to that cash flow number. Again, the expenses here are the same as on the other version. It's just the revenue that's changed. The top line revenue numbers.
going down a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll scroll down to that cash flow number.
There we go. Whoops.
So there, as you can see, the previous number was what, to 400 something. And then this number is in the 834. So that does get us closer in terms of that number we want to get to. As you can see, the prior year budget, it was 1,126,361. Again, our projected forecast is 218,254 for 2022, and this version of the budget has us at 834. LJ and I did earlier today, we did review various categories, expense categories, and made some adjustments. And that version is out on the shared drive in Excel file. But basically what it did, we tweaked a number of categories such as training registrations, temporary labor, building repairs and maintenance, trucking repairs and maintenance, general facility repairs and maintenance, freight out. And various other categories, container repairs and maintenance. And so what we were able to do is get this 834 number up to 904. So essentially I've added about $70,000 to that cash flow number. So that gets us, so at 904 and versus the minimum debt service of that 1,091,000 number, it'd be about $187,000 deficit, or not deficit, but below our targeted number in this version of the budget.
So the targeted number is from this year's budget. Is there something absolute about it that it was like that was calculated more or less to be what's needed?
The debt service is fairly fixed in terms of, the length. The the 2021 bond, there's a defined schedule of principal and interest payments. Go ahead and scroll down to that debt section again on this budget, and we can look at. So right there. So the district's debt is the BOMAG compactor, the CAT motor grader, the CAT wheel loader, and then the big piece is the general revenue bond. The for 2023, these are the fixed numbers. In future years, those will change slightly as principal and interest adjust. But again, for budgeting purposes, you're looking about, like this shows, about 1.1 million a year in debt service that needs to happen as the district is currently structured in its debt. As the compactors are, I believe, on a 5-year debt schedule. And we're in the second year on those capital items. So there's 3 more years to go, with 2023 being the second year.
So then when Nick and I went over these numbers, we also paid really close attention to that actual projected column, looking to see where we're actually spending some of the money. That's where we could see we could cut back some of the items in the budget to kind of bring us better to a little bit closer to that number. One of the things that also is not included in the income section, Nick and I talked about the fact of Horizon, just since they've been here, we haven't had a chance to look at this quarter's numbers, which is where most of their spending has been within this last quarter. And it was, what did I say, Nick, around 38,000 from them just in 1 month. That was just 1 month. So
that'd be categorized as new revenue versus the price increase is layered over your existing revenue. So if you got new revenue coming in, there is some expense related to that, but it will generally flow to the bottom line because you have existing drivers, trucks in place to handle that additional business.
So anyway, go ahead.
So
So-
yeah,
go ahead.
your presentation, go ahead.
Well, those are the bullet points on this. We wanted to show you the budget without any revenue adjustments, the budget with the revenue adjustments. Again, these are tentative budgets, and entertain any questions or topics that you may have related to this. Again, a budget is a mechanism to track the progress of the district. We've tried to craft it in a manner that reflects reality, and so we want to present this. The district will need to, as it does, monitor its expenses and trying to bridge that gap between this budgeted cash flow number and the debt service number to see if we can get those to be covered.
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
I'm just curious where we derived that the city contract would not be affected by this rate change.
So Diane, go ahead, Nick, or do you want me to answer that?
I'll just briefly, there's a contract in place, but there is a provision in there to request an increase if so warranted. And so those would be the steps that need to happen. And to go to them a year early in terms of asking them for a price increase.
Which when we could, we do intend to, and I have reached out to the city, but there is a long list of items that we need to provide to them to validate a price increase. And it's going to take the whole process. I was informed by Ben Billingsley, it would take 4 to 6 months. So we felt that it was better to not falsify income until we knew for sure that the rates would be there to increase. Even if we do it halfway through the year, it could be a possibility of helping, boost some of that quite a bit. But
Well,
we
it just,
can't count on it.
it just seems like a lot of work has and thought has gone into raising money with the rate increase. And it seems to me like we've missed a pretty large chunk there. And so I guess I would just say that I think we need to do that, even if it takes 4 to 6 months. I don't know how people will feel about maybe some of these other venues going up and then theirs not. And so I don't know, it just seems a little strange to me.
Yeah, it's,
I think we agree with that, Diane. It's just a question of whether or not we put it in the budget now, proactively
Right.
and sort of telegraph our assumption of it, or wait and do an amended budget at that time.
right.
So what is the date on this said amended budget? If we're not going to submit it for 2023, what is the date that we're looking at for, this 4 to 6 months in preparation to it? Is it 2024? Is it 2025? It's the contract's over in 2024.
Right, so you go through a process in 2023 to get a rate increase, then you got to turn around at the beginning of 2024 and do the same thing. Well, to negotiate the contract extension. So it went, I believe it was it May, or was it June?
I think it's May.
June of
I
19
think it's
through
June,
June of 2024 is the first 5-year contract term, and then it has renewable options after that. So to go into the city for an increase for 2023 would be obviously a good training for going into 2024 also, in terms of the entire contract. But then going back to your question about, yes, this version of this tentative budget does not have the city increase in it. But when that is requested and it occurs, that we also can do an amended budget to reflect any adjustments to the revenue.
We
Okay.
have to do an amended budget if it's an increase in income, or just when our expenditures are above
Right.
the income.
Yeah, my understanding, the amended budgets are necessary when you have the expense overages. You don't necessarily, I believe you don't necessarily have to do one for increased revenue,
No, I don't
but
think.
it'll be a good reflection to show that being done.
It would, yeah, it'd be,
Well, so
Yeah.
currently the budget doesn't balance, as I understand it.
Correct.
So
we can't pass that, can we? We can't pass a budget that doesn't balance, can we?
don't,
Think we can.
yeah. So we would have to show lower expenses and then amend it with the higher expenses, which hopefully the city rate adjustment happens before the district runs out of money under its current budget.
That's with the pay increases to the, other than
The increases?
This has pay increases, yes.
no, I meant fee increases.
Oh,
excuse me.
okay.
Because fee increases aren't just for the city, correct?
This doesn't include the pay increases. for
Yeah,
the
this is
city.
just for the county.
Okay, that's what I meant. So this budget includes the pay increases for the county, but not the city, correct?
Correct.
Fee increases, excuse me, I don't mean to say pay. Fee increases for the
Correct.
county and not, okay, I just wanted to make show. So if we can negotiate with the city and do the fee increases later, we can choose to amend the budget just for transparency reasons.
Well, if
Right.
we pass a balanced budget now, then presumably it will have to be amended to have higher, because the expenses will go up, because we know they're gonna go up. In order to balance the budget with the revenue that's shown here, the expenses have to come down.
No, this is the budget with the fee increases, so.
But it doesn't
Yeah.
balance either.
That doesn't balance.
When you say it doesn't balance, what are you, a negative net income, is that what you're meaning?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, I
scroll,
mean, I don't think we can just ignore the debt expenses that we know that we have.
No, we can't.
scroll up a little bit on this, if you could. Scroll up to the net income line, let's see, sorry, go down a little more. There's a net income line, keep going.
So we have-
I thought we passed it.
There's it, other-
Yeah, that negative 331,806. Again, not again, but the net income encompasses everything. So that's all your expenses and your depreciation and amortizations, which are the depreciation is a non-cash item, but it does reflect down to a bottom line number. That's why we're focused on the cash flow, which is further up, that 834 number on here, but it's been revised to 904. Gets us closer to that debt service number. I believe the district has had budgets in the past that have a negative net income number that have been submitted. So it's a matter of, how soon can we get a city price increase if we pursue that? And if we can continue to monitor expenses to get that net income number less of a negative.
Okay,
Okay, maybe let me try a different question.
yes,
What assumptions are you making about how much overtime is paid?
So
Seems
this
like
might
there's
be the time, Nick, let's share your screen and because we can't pull up Excel. So if you could pull up that so we can look
Which,
at those. He's wanting to know about overtime. So if we look at the Excel spreadsheet with the fee rate increases that's expanded, so that we can look at that overtime number.
the payroll sheet or the budget?
No, it should just be in the budget sheet, but there's
Yeah, just bring that budget back up. We'll go to the payroll section.
I don't think it's collapsed, so I don't think it's there.
Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah.
go in there.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you need to show it. It just seems like my impression is that there's a fair amount of overtime happening. And so if I'm wrong, just say so. And otherwise, ideally, we'd be staffed and scheduled so that there was less of that. So people didn't have to work all that overtime and we didn't have to pay for it. And I'm just wondering what the assumptions are about 23 versus what I sort of perceived from writing checks, signing the checks in 22.
Well, we have been short-staffed until just recently. We are at capacity where we'd like to be as far as like the drivers and route helpers go. So hopefully in the future, again, we should also consider looking at the holidays, because the holiday pay rate, which a lot of the guys really count on, but that's a huge impact onto the payroll as well, because we pay time and a half for holidays.
Right now in this budget, the overtime is budgeted at 160, just slightly under $163,000 versus a regular payroll of $2,255,000. So it's about of the regular wages, it's about the overtime is about 7%.
7, yeah. Which in an industry like this, that's not too bad, especially with the turnover of employees and people having to pull double shifts and stuff like that, that's not really, 7% is not bad.
Well, on the fact that we might be fully staffed, but we're not fully, not all those have CDLs, so if
Mhm.
somebody calls in, then that means another CDL driver has to pick up on it,
Yeah,
so, you know.
Well,
Perfect, we'll optimize that a little bit, but I don't think you're gonna get it down much.
and that is the industry, that's characteristic of the industry. You have to have a CDL driver to drive on the road.
Okay, in the professional services, it seems like it was broken. There was one that was sort of encompassing line, and then others that were specific tasks that were broken out. And so I didn't see a consultant to do the fee analysis that the city has requested. Was that included in the budget?
I don't think it was, but it would have been under contract labor.
Oh, rather than professional services. And I'm still unclear about whether or not we need to consulting engineer for Klondike.
Do we, Chris,
Eventually, yeah.
Okay,
this year?
it seemed like we needed them almost 3 years ago, and
I mean, we're going to,
Is that for new cell development?
well, it's gonna be for our permit renewal, actually, so I've worked out the cell development where we don't necessarily need, I mean, we're gonna need some kind of consultants out there, but it's not gonna be the full on, like, going out and get an RFP. I mean, it's pretty minimal cost, like, until we get ready to do our permit renewal.
And when's that?
2024 or 25, I think, we need to start prepping for it in 24. So, I mean, really, we should be lining up for the end of 23, and then, you know, have our paperwork and stuff done at the beginning of 2024. So it could, but obviously the reality of the budget dictate that we have to put it out until 2024.
okay. Well, conceivably could go through the RFP process and get them on board, but
Yeah,
the bulk of the work occur, or at least get billed in 24.
yes.
Okay. And is the salary survey expense still in there?
Yep.
I would like a consultant to do job descriptions and a salary plan. But, or at least I would like to budget for it. And we can take it up with the new ED.
We need job description.
Um,
And we need a salary survey, so we not just grasping or guessing.
So there's a freight line. Is that primarily hauling the single stream, and is that primarily hauling recycleds?
Yes.
And that's what, when Nick and I went through it, we took some of that out because a lot of it was going when we were taken to Denver.
No, we're
And
not doing that.
I don't believe we are.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we still are.
Yeah, yeah. Had to run a couple to Salt Lake just because of weather. But I mean, I'm still trying to adhere to the contract of the city, and so until that changes, I'll still run into Denver. Unless, whatever, you know, acts of God, Mother Nature, whatever dictates I can't make it to Denver, then, you know, we just run out of space, and so I have to.
And when it goes to Salt Lake, is that done with district trucks and?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's an expense that shows up on a different lines. That's just contract freight.
Yes.
Uh-huh, okay.
Now, but does freight include mobilization of equipment and stuff? I don't
Yeah,
know. So
But there's a
that's-
separate line item for that.
okay.
Yeah, when the district's own trucks take the materials, then you see fuel expense and labor. And repairs and maintenance, tires.
That wouldn't be broken out as a separate, separate haul to Salt Lake. It would just be included in the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas where your third party vendor taking the stuff, you see it in that freight line all by itself.
Okay, that's it for my questions. Any other questions from the board? Doesn't look like
I have
it.
a question. So I was looking for my new, is there anything we can do to increase revenues before we renegotiate with the city?
Yes, and that is, we are still working on it.
Counts, right? We can increase.
We're gonna increase the rates within the county, but to do it for the city, we have to approach them and we have that ability. But that process of increasing the rates is going to be a 4 to 6 month process.
Right, so I'm just what we can do in the interim. So increase rates for the county. And is that it? Like, what about like, would it make a difference if we increase like fees at the landfills?
That's what this whole, yeah, it's the fee structure that we're gonna look at, yeah. And then in this particular budget, when we look at the fee structures, we've already gone through to see what we should put those rates at in order to give us the revenues that we needed. And that's included in this budget right here. But we need to cut out some more things. We got to a point where we're within 187,000, but we need to take some more things out to make it so that we can get to that number.
One of the triggers to approaching the city is whether the landfill has a rate increase, and that's, you know, we do have a rate increase at the landfill, and so that's one of the triggers in the contract that allow us to approach the city to ask for a price increase.
Okay.
So that will trigger the process.
It's one.
Allows for us to do it.
Right, but I mean, it's a contract. You don't actually, I mean,
Contract.
it's a contract, so you can renegotiate it. But there is something specifically written into it that says that's it.
Certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was also written from the perspective of a third-party private entity that had an arm's length relationship with the landfills, which no longer exists. So it's kind of funny that way.
Yeah.
But in any event, yeah, the district will presumably have the basis to approach the city. But there's still work to be done. So if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative 2023 budget with some rate increases as a 2023 budget, draft budget as presented in the board packet.
Second.
Well, I would include that there are going to be changes to this budget.
Yeah, this is a draft as presented in the board packet, so we're approving the tentative budget. And I can add to the back of that where there may be some changes coming up.
Those changes the changes have been entered, so those can be printed out right now to allow you to see those various expense categories that I mentioned have been adjusted. And so those are the changes that LG and I worked on to get us to that 904 cash flow number. So that.
Can you pull that up, Nick, so we can take a look at that a little bit?
Well, we don't have to, I mean, you can present an amended budget as long as you publish it for the public, I think a week in advance.
Yeah. So
but I mean, we can adopt, the board can, can make whatever changes we want at the time of adoption, so.
Okay.
To adopt the tentative budget with the changes.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure on how
Yeah.
dialed in it had to be for this next meeting. That was my concern, because I wanted to make sure that if we had to dial it in and approve it as a dialed in draft without any changes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah.
So do I need to amend that motion?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, you're
you
approving
are,
the tentative
right, I mean, you're approving the tentative budget that's in the board packet,
Yep,
so.
okay.
I second that.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mary. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Kevin,
Yes,
Mary?
Yeah.
Chad,
Yes,
Diane?
I still have concerns about this budget, so I'm not really on board with it. I don't want to stop the process, but I hear Nick say that if we choose to present to the city, the rate increase, so it doesn't sound like to me there's anything written that says that we're gonna go for this 4 to 6 month process of acquiring, getting everyone on the rate increase. And so I'm just, I'd prefer to have something more discussion about that, or in writing, something. It just doesn't feel right to me that the way this is coming down.
Well,
I have, go ahead, Nick.
we're in a contract with the city, so we can't build a rate increase in the budget, January 1st. And so that's the reason why we're not adjusting that component of the revenue in this tentative budget at this time.
And I have had meetings with the city, with Carly and Ben has sent me email correspondence on what was needed to go through and approach the city and present it to the city. So I do know the process. There's been steps that I need to follow up on. One was doing the rate survey, which I did reach out. I have not heard back from the one gentleman, so I need to touch base with him again, but I also wanted to check in on a couple of other people to do the rate survey for me, because that I just want to get different prices, I guess. So it is moving forward. It's not moving forward super fast, unfortunately. And part of that I feel is the nature of the beast as well.
So Diane, I share your concerns and concept. We started discussing a fee increase this summer. And if we hadn't had sort of an interim leadership arrangement with reduced capacity, I think they might have been able to pull it off, but we are in this interim state. And so staff are doing a great job of keeping things running, but this is admittedly a little outside their experience and job descriptions if they had them. So much as I would like to be able to pass a fee increase in budget that included the city, the reality is that we're not ready to do that. And we do have to pass the 23 budget by the end of the year. So I'm sorry that we are continuing to suffice, but that's the reality. So
Well,
but I
I
understand your concerns.
I guess I understand all of the, the constraints. But this being the first time that I've ever heard of this long drawn out process taking this long and so forth and so on, it's a little disconcerting. I just wonder if it will remain or be bumped up to a priority when we get an executive director, or is that something that, that's the thing that to me, it's pretty obvious that we need this revenue, increased revenue. And if we don't prioritize that with our new executive director, then I don't see I don't see the plan to move forward. If we can't be assured that this is going to be a priority, I don't know. But anyway, let's vote.
Well, I believe it's been a priority. It just takes quite a bit of time. It seems with the city, we have to get all of our ducks lined up before we actually present what we'd like to see. And that is probably better to wait till the first of the year, from what I can see
Well,
anyway.
the process is already beginning.
Yeah,
It is not like the process hasn't begun. But it's not going to be done by the end of this month. And we have to pass budget by the end of this month. But I think it will, and it needs to be a priority moving forward in order to make sure we're not in the same situation next year.
or even at the middle of next year, at the end of next year. So,
Yeah, next year, you'll be in a mode that you gotta be in full mode to do the contract extension for the second 5-year term. So yes, this is an unusual, we're asking for a rate, we would be asking for a rate increase midway through a contract term, which is unusual. But as the normal expiration of the existing, first 5-year term happens, yes, the district will be in negotiations to extend to the next 5-year term.
All right. Anything else from the board? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Kevin,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Galen, yes, motion passes 5-0.
I thought she was going right now.
okay. Or passed.
Sorry, I'm scrolling back up. Now we have review and approval of 2023 tentative fee structure.
So Savannah, you want to pull that up? We redlined these so you could see what was what our current rates are, and then what we propose to be. It should be up towards the top, the 2023 proposed fee schedule. Yeah, we'll start with the transfer station since it's at the top. Okay, so most things were increased here. We did look at some items to not increase. We tried to do a similar increase across the board so we could be consistent with what was it there in the past as well.
Most of these increases reflect either somewhere between a 10 and 20% increase, depending on the category or topic. As we go through the transfer station, the 2 landfills, and the recycle center.
Wasn't the average, when I looked through it, looked like the average was around a $2 increase. The high was 30, or was it 50?
5, yeah.
And there were some that weren't. There was a $20. Anyway, that was what I looked at. Seemed to be.
This is Moab, or this
This is the transfer station.
transfer at the transfer station. Okay,
This is the transfer station only.
okay.
We've got pages for each of the sites as we go through, as we scroll through these, you'll see, and we can go back and forth between them to.
Keep going down, Savannah, yeah, so we can see. So there we go.
So out of curiosity, I looked up the producer price index for the last 2 years for MSW, and it looks like it's around 16%, which seems to be kind of in line with what these are. So that's good news, I think. that,
Yeah.
And it looks like you did just sort of whole dollar or $2, $5 increments just to keep it simple,
Yeah.
as opposed to applying a percentage and ending up with a bunch of.
Exactly, a change, and it makes it
Yeah.
harder for now that we have credit card capabilities at the transfer station, the recycle center, and the landfill, more and more people use their debit cards, so there's less cash, which is a good thing. But we still do receive some cash. And so we didn't really change much as far as what was set up as in the past of trying to mitigate people to go to certain facilities that are better for us to take certain items. So we definitely kept it lower for, at the transfer station for some items that we want taken here and lower at the landfill for some items that we want taken there. So we didn't change any of that.
Looks like I might have been charged for the $12 rate on the king and queen mattresses that I brought in. Which is fine, but that's
Oh,
okay.
nobody knows about those. So. This is the first time people have seen it. So.
Yeah, well,
I don't think there's anything below. Okay, yeah, so then, if anybody has any questions about the transfer station fee increases or.
Let's probably go through each of them, then we can scroll back, because questions may come up with, okay, if it's this at this site, what is it at another site? Again, transfer station is an intermediary. Anything that goes to the transfer station and eventually has to end up somewhere, which is either Klondike or Moab landfill. And so, again, the basic concept on transfer stations, the costs there are generally higher than taking something directly to the landfills because of that intermediary step of labor, truck, variable costs and whatnot.
Yeah, so go ahead and pull up the next one, Savannah. So actually the CRC, we didn't change any rates at all. And this was done specifically to help encourage people to continue to recycle. So
good.
So we kept all the rates there the same. Unless anybody has any questions, we can go ahead and close that and go to the next one.
And that's more considered a contribution basically than a rate, isn't it? I mean, you know, that's.
And part of it is just to help cover our costs of, you know, some of the things that,
Exactly.
you know. And this is the Klondike landfill.
And this is per ton, is it? Yes.
Yes.
That's that 38 rate going to 44, that's a 15.7% increase.
These are all franchise haulers. They usually expect a rate, an increase every year anyway.
Well, and we haven't increased rates since 2019.
Oh,
So
really? Wow.
Yeah, in 2019, or was it end of 2018, going into 2019, it went from 32 to 38. So this is consistent with.
That's good.
Again, going back to the budget, the labor costs are the primary driver on some of these increases.
which is also why, you know, looking at it, even though it's an interagency transfer from the transfer station to Klondike, we're still spending labor and our fuel and all of that. So we want to make sure that the costs are higher there, even though they're taking it directly to Klondike. So that was the thought process behind that. We did increase also like overtime fees and any equipment uses fees. Wasn't that the biggest increase? That was, yeah, it was $10. Mattress loads went up quite a bit, but again, on those, it was a percentage, so.
And it takes a lot of mattress. I mean, it takes quite a few mattresses to make a ton.
Yeah.
So that's a big bulky item that we should charge for.
Right, and it's usually like when a motel or hotel
Right.
is doing a remodel.
It's
so,
dumping all their mattresses.
right.
So yeah, going from 38 to 44, that's a 15.7% increase. Going from 46 to 15 is, or I mean, 46 to 52 is a 13% increase.
Is there anything? I think is that it? Okay, so unless there's any just go on to the next, the Moab landfill.
Pretty much the same thing, just $2 to $4 a pop.
Mhm,
Huh?
mhm.
That's not bad.
Now, some of these, like I said, you know, we felt it was important to not raise rates. And some of those were because, you know, especially like the metals
Yeah.
and things like that.
And that's an emergency dump on the holidays and Saturdays, right? After hours overtime fee.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And we kept that consistent between, you know,
It should be raised that much.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's gonna cost you that much.
well,
for-
I meant
to open
it's
the gate.
consistent across all the facilities. So that's
Yes.
the same equipment usage fee and holiday after
Mhm.
hours fee is the same at all facilities. So.
Good.
And then, so we did not change or increase our mulch, because we, it's actually, you know, very good for us to have, and we felt like we were doing really well with it.
Yep.
We don't really do the screen mulch at this time. We don't do the compost or firewood at this time. So, rather than have it on there and have people question, why
Right.
is there a price for this? We're going to remove those. And then the delivery of the, you know, went up because of obvious costs, so.
Sure.
Did anybody want to look at the difference between Moab landfill and the transfer station, or do we want to move on to the roll-offs?
I studied this quite a bit, so I'm ready
Yeah.
to move on.
I
Okay,
already looked at it too, so.
I tried to figure out the percentage of each one. Then
I
gave
just
up.
did a spot sample.
Oh, you did, okay, you were smarter than me. I'm going, oh, this is taking a long time.
Okay,
This was
this is a fun
colorful,
one.
very
Yeah.
colorful.
well, we marked up the old one.
In terms of the red line on this, when you see the arrows and the dollar amount, it's essentially adding that dollar amount to each of those lines in that column. So in the case of that first column where it's 75, bump by 25, that'd be 100. The second column, that 325 would be 375.
So I did
350.
wonder about this because it seemed like the proportional increase, there was quite a range because like a 30 yard C&D is 700 will become 750. It goes up proportionally a lot less than a 10 yard at 400. So I just wondered if there should be a
Well,
little bit.
it's yeah, because part of that is it's the incremental, the size is different, but you're still got the truck and the driver doing the same job. I mean, doing the job. So it's just more of the container size differential.
Correlates to the tipping,
Yeah, the tipping fee.
to the volume. of-
Larger container has a larger tipping fee, whether it be at the landfill or a transfer station.
And then the one thing we don't have, but we did put into the budget was the county increases in trash and recycle. But we don't have an example of that to show.
There is that Excel spreadsheet. I don't. Where
Can
is
you
that?
pull that up? Unless people have questions about the roll-off still.
Does the whole rate include the effectively roll in the tipping fee? So then if the 30 yard has. Okay.
It's the expense is the same for us to go there and back.
Mhm.
It's just then, yeah, when you add in the volumes and stuff is the difference between like a 10 and a 30 yard.
Okay.
And that was that, and that kind of worked itself out because Monument Waste and Dan had to pay us to do it, so.
Right.
Okay.
Are you ready to share your screen, Nick, to bring up that one?
Hold on a moment. Let's see.
Is there any prices on this?
Not sure if it's.
You want to share?
He's looking. One other thing that Chris and I have also talked about as far as like special events go, a possible different revenue stream would be to set up for them at an event, like a mini sorting station. So instead of having a single stream, they could elect to have, you know, containers where they would put their different commodities, and then it would go straight to the recycling center. We have to kind of brainstorm on how much that would cost, but we
Right.
want to start trying to push that for
Push
special
that,
events.
that would
It's a
be,
good idea. It's a great
and
idea.
you know, it could be. Couldn't be this year, but I could see where it could be. Like, if an event is willing to. Go through the effort of sort of separated, there would be a different fee than ones that were just doing
Mhm.
Mhm.
nothing or single string.
Mhm.
But that could, that too, all those type of things take a long time. They won't have.
And you know, we have cups and plates now that are supposed to be composting. How difficult is that to put into our,
Because we don't have.
Compost pile.
They have to be taken up to Logan still, correct, to use those?
My impression is that those have to be in a
Yeah.
pretty,
You have to
maybe
be-
either an industrial composter or a very well-run composting facility.
It has to
to
be. in
get them to
those-
break down.
What are
Yeah.
they called, the ones that they have at Utah State, those,
In vessel.
in vessel. That's my understanding, it's all of those compostable, because I was so excited about them when I first saw it, and I realized, well, it only works if you can get them to an in vessel.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But the folk festival didn't do it this year, but in the past, they have taken all of those up to Logan. They
Hmm.
shipped them up to Logan to the in vessel. Because I thought an in vessel idea was a really great idea, but
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot of buy-in.
Well, maybe. You know,
Well,
that's
we
something
have-
in the future.
I think they closed that down.
Oh, did they?
In Logan? It worked out, huh? They were pretty excited.
Either
about it.
they're re-looking at it or something that was.
And that could be why the folk
long-term.
festival didn't do it this year.
Well, that would make total reason if it wasn't available. I'll have to talk to Rosalind.
Are you able to find that, Nick? If not, we
Yeah,
can just-
I'm able to show my screen if you, I think it'll work. I remote into the server to get the file, so let's see if this works, if you can see what I have. See.
You may have to give him permission, Savannah. Usually I do make co-host.
Inside mango instead of orange.
That way you
Yeah,
still have
we're good.
control, but he can share.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a mango chili. We'll have to try one.
Yeah, mango chili, no, that sounds interesting. Is it hot? Got a little spice to it?
Making chili,
Mhm.
really?
That's good.
I love that sweet spice taste.
Mhm.
I have to try it again.
Yeah, please. They'll be staying here, so eat them up.
What does CUF stand for?
Container use fee.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, are you able to see this spreadsheet where it
Yeah.
says trash? Okay. So this top section is the existing rates. And this section down here in the green is the increased amounts. So in the case of a 95 gallon polycart going once a week, this, let me just highlight it, is $18. It would go to 20. A two-yard container at 64 currently would go to 74. So it's based up essentially upon a 15% increase on this matrix.
Being consistent with what we've done on the other ones as well. One of the things that I do want to point out with this, because we understand that there's a lot of people that are on fixed incomes or low income, and with putting this out there as a rate increase, we also want to offer the opportunity for people to apply for, reduced rates.
Scholarship or what you're.
A reduced rate. So we will be drafting up something for that to happen so that, people that are on fixed income or low income can then, continue to pay at this rate instead of getting the rate increase, at least for the first year, and then maybe a smaller increase the next year.
Just be cognizant, as the district is now a fully vertically integrated entity, meaning it picks up the trash and disposes it. Whereas before, Monument picked up the trash and the district disposed of it. Being vertically integrated, your portion of your revenue generation shifts from the landfill to the collection sites. And so that's, trash collection is one of the main drivers for the district. So these increases are probably not as high as they probably should be, but I think it gets us in a place to make sure we generate revenue to cover again the labor increases that have happened.
And we've never really increased these rates since we took over.
Right.
So we're
Right.
not showing that income coming into the landfills from, So this is definitely a warranted increase then.
Yes.
LJ, can I,
There's the recycle one. It's a similar situation. The 95-gallon recycle cart once a week, go from 16 to 18. A 2-yarder going once a week, 54 to 62. So
That one wasn't included. He didn't share it with me. So I can send it later.
Yeah, please do.
So I'm sorry, Chad, you had a question?
yeah, it's just a kind of kind of interested. How many, off the top of your head, do you know approximately how many customers are opting for the bi-weekly compared to once a week pickup? I'm talking residential customers. I'm just curious, I'm kind of in that situation where I'm choosing between the two myself.
It is a hard one because
have
those weeks,
the
but
numbers.
there's a lot of times we get to buy.
My comment.
Then I have that week.
Okay, pull it up. Can you pull it up?
It's not.
Don't spend a lot of time answering this question if you don't have it
Good, actually.
in your head right
Actually, he's sharing.
Yeah, but you can still pull it up. The numbers. Savannah's looking for you. Oh,
Okay, I don't need the answer immediately either, so I'm just curious, and I'm wondering.
that's one of the limitations of the TerraTrash system. It doesn't give you, it gives you transactional accounts, but doesn't give you, overtly obvious customer counts. You have to
Into the
dig
comment
for it
folder.
and whatnot, but yeah, it's
One on the desktop.
The reason I'm asking it, I'm just wondering if it's an opportunity for us to do some savings if we're
Into
picking
the file folder.
often
Yeah.
places, if we should be encouraging more people to go to bi-weekly.
Would that save us or would that hurt us?
Well, that's the question. I don't know the answer to that, but this might be worth exploring. Because I look, my own trash is pretty much, there's not a lot of stuff in there that is going to stink. And so I could definitely go bi-weekly, but my home's a duplex and we share the same can and they have a baby. So I don't want their diapers sitting there for 2 weeks. But anyway, I'm wondering if there's this, if we were
Or
to.
you might have gotten kicked out.
Would it be an opportunity for us to save some on like
Look one.
pickup expenses?
Yeah, that would be really interesting to know, does the district save money? Or is it just the person that saves money?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge savings for the customer. But if it's something that is it a way that the district could save some money if we were to kind of nudge more people towards a bi-weekly?
It could possibly, if the routing keeps you know, is the routings updated to reflect efficiencies?
Which hopefully with the new software, we'll be able to
Yeah,
examine that closer.
it's just something to look into. It's not germane to this now, I guess.
What would be a thing that would probably negate any savings would be if they called in for extra pickup on a non-bi-week week.
Started with
If
that.
you have to take a truck to go back out there and get something, then it might negate the savings that you have from a bi-weekly pickup.
Right.
Does the fee charge, because you get charged if you ask them to go back? Does the charge cover the cost?
Probably not with labor. I mean.
Only $10. No.
Well, it's right.
Fuel.
It's a special pickup right here on this sheet is $10. So probably in the real world, it would not cover the cost.
That barely covers the fuel on the big trucks.
Yeah. So if you got a regularly scheduled container you're picking up and there's extra trash there, that's more what this extra pickup is in tied that you're going to charge an extra $10 to get that stuff off the ground or whatever maybe around it. But to go out to a customer for a special pickup that's not on the route that day, then it'd be likely more costly to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else to present?
No.
Any more questions from the board?
I mean, it looks pretty even all the way through. I mean, it's a general increase of 1.5, so that's not bad. What needs to be happening.
Darn it.
So I would entertain a motion.
I had the motions there and then I've lost them. Oh, it's done.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, good.
I move that we approve the tentative 2023 rate increase as a proposed rate increase to be presented. Was that the right one? I'm on item C.
Yep.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
I move that we approve the tentative 2023 rate increase as a proposed rate increase to be presented at the next regular board meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chad. Kevin, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Chad?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes,
Mary?
Yes.
Kaylin, yes. Motion passes 5-0. Next up is set date and time of public hearing to be held for the purpose of adopting the 2023 budget and 2023 fee structure. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to set a schedule, a public hearing to receive public comments on the proposed 2023 budget and proposed 2023 fee structures increase to commence at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, December 21st, 2022.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Diane?
yes,
Ed?
I was looking at my calendar. Yeah. Yeah.
Kaylin, yes. Motion passes 5-0. Staff reports, LJ.
So the only thing I really have to report is, I had mentioned in the last, meeting back in October that, we had done a workman's comp audit and, we had actually overpaid. So due to that, audit, we got $821.26 back.
Yes.
Woohoo! Balance that budget.
I'm nickel and diming it. But other than that, yeah, we've just been, it's been kind of crazy and busy. So,
All right, thank you. Thanks for all your work on the budget.
Yes.
That was a lot.
well, thank Nick.
No, LJ, the district staff contributed heavily to this, so thank you.
Chris, you're up.
Okay, I got a few things here. I'll go through them pretty quick. I got an update on, I talked recently about our partnership with USU and the schooling with CDLs, as we were kind of pushing through our first one. USU Eastern down in Blanding was able to come up with funding, so all of our, for the immediate future, all of our students that will be training will be for free. So
Nice.
That's good news, and
That's amazing.
they're willing to take them all the way to Class A, fully endorsed. I mean,
Wow.
that's, I
Great
mean,
effort.
bad for us.
Everybody, Chris.
We're gonna go off other careers, but
Who
it's
did you
it's
work
good.
with to get that done?
Justin Bergerman, and he runs the CTE program down in Blanding, and I'm not sure. And it eludes me, I have been working with somebody, but he kind of oversees both type things. I'm not really sure of the hierarchical structure quite yet, because they're just starting here in Moab as far as their CTE programs. But I met up there at this campus, and I think her name is Megan. I hate to get it wrong in a public meeting.
Well, whatever it is, I think it would be appropriate for us as a board to think if they're working with us on this, because it's a
Yes.
huge asset.
Yeah, and I think there's gonna be some other opportunities, and I got some things in the work. I think there's gonna be a good partnership moving forward, and for both USU and the district.
So if you would, maybe, future consideration, that's maybe for our next meeting, have something for us to sign that we could send to them as a thank you.
Cool.
Is there a way to, if we recommend, I mean, if someone comes through our program and goes and takes that class, can we ask them for a year's employment before they move on to another job? Is there? a way
Well,
to do that?
we've just, we've kind of discussed that. Although that was when we were gonna pay, now that it comes for free, I'm not sure how,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could still do contract. I don't know
I
how
think
well you could enforce a contract. like
Well,
that,
the
but-
city started doing that with our police officers because we had the same problem. We paid for them to get trained and then
Oh, okay.
they go off to
Is that
the
working?
Wasatch. Apparently, well, our police chief who came from the Wasatch said that it was common there.
Oh,
Mhm.
And so and we've been watching them like get trained here and then disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
we've had the
years.
same problem with sheriff's.
We should talk about that.
Yeah. Um, So I went to the Recycle Coalition of Utah with Jessica. I was gonna kind of leave some of the things for her to discuss. I'd like to congratulate her, though. She volunteered.
It's in the waiting room.
Oh,
Oh, you made it. Got off the plane.
so well, I'll let her explain what I'm congratulating her for, but she took the initiative in front of the whole convention, and I think it was gonna be a very good thing for the district, so I'll let her do that. She's here. The other thing, though, some of the bad news that came out of there is it actually came up about the cardboard and why the cardboard prices were dropping so much. And it really had a lot to do with people over prepping with the shipping problems we're having. So the box companies over purchased all the material to make sure that they could produce enough boxes. The Amazons and the shipping companies like that over purchased a lot of boxes in hopes that they could push their product out. And they were trying to do this before all the shipping problems happened. Well, then the shipping problems happened and now they can't get the products out. So they still got tons of boxes and the boxing companies still have tons of paper, which makes the supply and demand from the boxings go down. So, and it has, since our last discussion, has continued to go down.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to continue to go down for a little while. That being said, the guys that promote that were presenting on some of these recycling commodities in general, the first guy had said he had been in here 18 years and not seen prices that low in 18 years. The guy that followed him has been in this commodity market for 30 years, and he said actually this is the lowest that it's been in 30 years. So all across the board, recycling commodities have been taking a hit, but our recycling program, at least I can attest to, our source separated are still going to facilities that they are being recycled. Like we have contracts in place, our product is clean and well,
We're in the dark.
we are in the dark.
Clean.
So, oh, yeah, so, and then the other bad news is plastic's been taking a lot of hits in the news lately. They had a thing at the UN. They're trying to push banning different types of plastics. Recently, like the real numbers of plastics have come out. I'm not sure what's, but if you go and Google, like, there's just been tons of articles have been written about plastic. So I think there's going to be, hopefully that this will incite some type of meaningful change in the whole industry. So let's see. The other thing is I got a call just a couple of days ago that our dozer is hit land and was transported to Salt Lake. So we've been waiting over a year and now we just got to figure out how we can pay for it, I guess. But it is here.
Great.
The other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed when you pulled up is we're doing another metal recycle out there. This was kind of a continuation. They had some equipment failure last time I was here. So this is a continuation of our metal recycling out there, which will put us in line to recycle over 1 million pounds of metal this year. So that's pretty exciting. The other thing that I wanted to bring up real quick, and I'm just going to touch on this because we'll kind of expand this as we go forward, but at the recycle center in dealing with Veolia, we figured out a way that we can start doing an HHW kind of all the time. So we don't have to put customers off, for our spring and fall, because we get a lot of calls and about little simple things, and we have to tell them, well, you got to wait basically 6 months if they call it the wrong things, especially after what happens is after the events. What happens is their neighbors start talking to them and then they find out about it, and we get all kinds of calls Monday after the Saturday. So the other thing that we're going to do there is we're going to also expand e-waste, universal waste, and starting on January 1st is kind of our tentative start date, household hazardous waste, and we'll be collecting them every day rather than just on Saturdays.
Oh, well,
And that reminds me on the feast schedules, maybe just pull the dates and because I think they still have the holdovers from this year where like first set where it's not where there's specific times when it happens.
And that's all I got.
Great. Thank
Great,
you.
Chris. Thanks.
Jessica, welcome.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Check your, audio.
About now.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So hopefully my background final to the 13th for the past hour.
We can't understand you. Can't understand you.
Can you take your mic down or hold your mic by your mouth, maybe?
Here's the digital. Maybe Chris is gonna have to tell us. Where's she at?
It's good to see you.
Okay,
All type of report. Great.
all right. Thank you.
Tell us what she.
She's was elected to the board of the Recycling Coalition.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yep, that'll be cool.
Good job. December 6th. All right.
Okay.
Do you go to Salt Lake for your meetings?
Zoom.
It's all Zoom?
Zoom center.
Zoom.
Well, congratulations. That's great.
All right, is that it for staff?
So I'm not on the agenda, but I would love to share a brief report.
Oh, please.
Yes, please.
Well, I thought you were gonna be under the new business H, but
Oh,
Yeah, it's about
Never mind.
hiring.
oh, wait.
You're agendized.
You're
Next up is board reports. So,
is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, that's
Okay.
fine. I didn't see it. Sorry.
no, you're fine.
do any board members have anything to report?
I enjoyed the activities at what was it? The
Sustainability.
Yes,
And all, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. And I think, we're doing it, we can get more people there as it becomes more of a tradition, but I thought it was well. I liked it.
Yeah, it was
I enjoyed-
It was cold too.
Sorry, I enjoyed Diane's cookies at that sustainability event.
me too. Great cookies and I think it was muffins or, nice little, they were good. Cornbread and cheese, was it, Jessica? But I thought that was a very well-planned event and it went very well. And thank you, staff, for doing that. Worked very well.
All right, thank you, board. Next up is new business. Staff bonus for 2022.
Okay. So, I would like to try and give everybody a bonus. This year, I looked at it instead of on different tiers, just kind of across the board, based on the number of months that they've worked within the year. So if they worked here for the full year, then they would get, everybody that works here for the full year is going to get the same bonus amount. And then people that worked here less time, it would be prorated.
Prorated. Yeah, good.
When will they receive it?
Next week.
Oh, good. It's nice to get it to them in time that they can use it.
You bet.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Any thoughts or questions? Chad and Diane? All right, looks like you have the support of the board. Next up, we have a possible update and discussion on executive director position.
Yes, so very good news to share with everybody. I have been working with Mike all week and he officially accepted the position today.
Wow.
So he is looking at coming mid to late January. He's got some, I think, a window of time where they will, the moving company that he's working with will tentatively deliver. So we discussed a January 30th start date with
Okay.
the option to maybe bump that up if his things get delivered and he can get her sooner. But my understanding is they kind of give him a window. And so he wanted to make sure, if things ran a little behind, that he would have time to get his things here and be prepared. So looking at a start date of the 30th, possibly sooner, but no later than. And thank you for being available today to just kind of
Oh,
answer
sure.
a few questions. So I have a draft offer letter that I emailed to you guys. Just want a second set of eyes, make sure everything looks good, and then we can get that sent off to him. I'm happy to send it, or if you want to sign it, I just felt like maybe you'd be more appropriate to sign it than me.
Yeah,
And then I did let him know that you guys may reach out to him next week
Yes,
to just
so-
kind of welcome and whatever. I invited him to the board meeting today and he was like, maybe a little too soon. But he did commit to watching it on YouTube and kind of stay up to date. And he offered that, he may be able to zoom in over the next few board meetings until he gets on site, certainly to kind of get up to speed with budget and everything that's going on. So he's very excited and feel good that, we can close that deal and just look forward to him getting on site.
Hi, Mike, if you're watching.
That's very good news. Thank you.
And then Leanne, you are leaving when?
well, I start Monday in my new position, but you know, if you guys need something HR related, please call me and I'm happy to just kind of help because I know that it's hard when things come up and you guys, you know, are trying to be all things to all people. So if I can help, you know, let me know. And I've spoken to my, you know, new company and they're very supportive of that. So if I need to step out and jump into a board meeting or just step out and take calls or whatever, you know, they understand that it's a transition and a process. So however I can help continue to support you guys, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we've appreciated your short stay.
Yeah.
Thank you
But
for all your
it's
hard
almost a
work.
year.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I guess we should appreciate it. Yes,
Yeah.
when the lights go on. There we go. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, and you've
Yeah.
already sent emails. and the-
Have to
for
put
us to
something out
contact,
there.
right?
No,
fake out.
but I can. I will send his contact information.
There you
over
go.
down.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
way we can.
Yeah.
Let them know that we're excited to have him on board and look forward to him
We got some
arrival
pinches.
sooner than later.
Yeah.
All
Find a
right.
house, find a place.
He said he actually already has a lead on a place and he's, you know,
Good.
just waiting to kind of get the dates to sign a lease. So
Good,
he has
great.
been on it. He jumped on
Good.
the advertiser. He's been on Facebook, like he is
Excellent.
ready to go. So
Excellent.
I was excited and shocked to hear that today. He's like, you know, I'm pretty sure I have this. He's like, I might call somebody to come walk through it or drive by and make sure it's in a good neighborhood and whatever. And
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
yeah, I said, well, we have a lead and people who will help you with that. And
Yes,
so, you know, but he's on it.
Great.
So.
Excellent.
Make sure it's in a good neighborhood.
Yes.
I was like, it's not really like that. I said Moab has like a trailer house and then $1 million house and then another trailer house. And that's just Moab. So.
No bad neighborhoods or bad views.
Well, that bad neighborhood down by the bird refuge, you know, we want to watch that area.
But yes, and so he will be happy to take you guys' call and just, you know, whatever he can do to jump in and transition.
Great,
Great. Thank you.
This is really good news. I feel so much more relaxed.
yes.
And, yeah. We will be internally grateful to you and Chris for your leadership during this transition period. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You guys,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you, and thanks for staying on.
Can we give Mike an email address real quick so I can start sending him stuff?
Yeah.
I have it.
I'm sending out his contact information right now, so I'm sure that he would be happy to start receiving that.
Please share that information.
Okay, so I'm not aware of a need for a closed session.
No, I just put it on just in case.
Okay, thank you. And then the future considerations are listed here, but there's nothing in particular that I don't think we need to talk about. So seeing that we have reached the end of our agenda items, I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
All
Nick.
right.
Less than 2 hours and we're still alive.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Before then, we're gonna see
Thank
each other on the 21st, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, board meeting on the 21st. We'll have snacks and treats.
I'm gonna be remote.
That's right.
Maybe out of time.